So to first deprive our national parks of dollars by advocating shutting the government down, and then accuse others who don't want to leave 98% of the government behind, and of the people who work there behind, and of the American people who depend on so many other programs, whether it's student loans or feeding the hungry, is wrong. And so I would ask consent that the request be modified as follows: that an amendment which is at the desk be agreed to, that the joint resolution be amended, then be read a third time and passed, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate. This amendment is the text that passed the Senate and is a clean, continuing resolution for the entire government, actually leaving no man or woman behind, and is something that is already over in the House and has the support, reportedly, of a majority of members of the House, including members of both parties. So would the Senator agree to modify his request?
Does the Senator agree to so modify his request?
Mr. President, reserving the right to object, I thank the Senator from New York for his heartfelt concern for the Republican Party. And I note that the Senator from New York stated that I, quote, have advocated shutting down the government. That statement, unfortunately, is a flat-out falsehood, and I know the Senator from New York would not do so knowingly, so it must have been a mistaken statement. Because throughout the course of this debate, I have said repeatedly in every context, we should not shut the government down. A shutdown is a mistake, and I very much hoped that the majority leader would not force a shutdown on this country. We are in a shutdown because the Democrats in this body have refused to negotiate, refused to compromise. And I would note as well, I am quite grateful for the majority leader's admonition this morning towards civility on the floor, and the Senator from Illinois' admonition towards Rule 19. That is an admonition well heard. Indeed, it was quite striking. You know, it has been several days since I have been to the floor of the Senate, and yet I feel that I have been here in absentia because so many Democrats have invoked my name as the root of all evil in the world. And indeed, the same majority leader that gave an ode to civility just a few days ago was describing me and anyone who might agree that we should stop the harms of Obamacare, describing us as, quote, anarchists. So I think the encouragement towards civility is an encouragement that should be heard across the board. And I would note also that my friends on the Democratic side of the aisle have described what they claim to be as the piecemeal approach as following my priorities. Several Democrats have used that language publicly. And I must note, Mr. President, I find it really quite ironic, because if I were to stand up here and say, it is my priority and not the priority of the Democrats to fund veterans, it is my priority and not the priority of the Democrats to fund the National Guard, it is my priority and not the priority of the Democrats to fund our national parks, it is my priority and not the priority of the Democrats to fund research for health care, they would quite rightly be able to rise and claim under Rule 19 that I was impugning their motives. I cannot imagine a greater insult than to claim it is not the priority of members of this body to treat fairly our veterans. And yet what I find so striking is that so many Democrats go out publicly and embrace that. They say funding the veterans is Cruz's priority, not ours.